Hi, Joanne here again. I just thought I'd jump on really quickly and do another video on the future of the global gold market. There's been lots of uncertainty in the markets, and precious metals have been going up and down. And I think recently gold hit its lowest price for 2018. And some people are wondering, is it a good time to invest in gold? And so I'm really happy to share with you, and I include a link to this report in the show notes, a report by the Gold Council, which is basically a report with contributions from leading experts on the gold market about what are the leading shifts demographically, in terms of mining and production, that are impacting the gold market and what you can expect in the next 30 years. So it's called the Gold 2048 report, and in the link in the show notes, you can download the report from the Gold Council website. And it basically, as I said, is analyzing how the gold market is set to evolve in the next 30 years. So key insights from authors such as George Magnus, senior economist, Rick Laxile, forgive me if I pronounce that incorrectly, Global Chief Investment Officer of State Street Global Advisors, and Michelle Ash, Chief Innovation Officer at Barrick Gold, right? And it talks about the expanding of the middle class, particularly in China and India, and combined with broader economic growth, this will have a significant impact on the demand for gold. It talks about the impact of the use of gold across, in terms of industrial use, so across energy, healthcare, and technology, and how it's positioned as a material of choice in those industries. It talks about how the internet and mobile apps in particular is making it more accessible for individuals to buy, sell, invest, or give gold, particularly in those developing economies such as India and China that were mentioned. It goes over some of the environmental, social, and governance issues that are going to play a larger and larger role in reshaping the actual production methods that are used in mining precious metals. Now, one of the key things I really want to highlight from this report are the three key trends that will drive the gold market in the next 30 years. I recommend, as I said, for you to go and download the report, but I'm just going to give you some highlights and a bit more detail in terms of the three trends that we're seeing that will drive the gold market in the 30 years to come. So the first trend, I think, is pretty obvious to us right now. It's the volatility. We are looking at a volatile landscape right now and a volatile landscape in the future. You know, the investment landscape and market is radically changing and is expected to continue to radically change in the next 30 years. And that's a combination of demographics, of technology, of fiscal policy, macroeconomic changes. And just to highlight a few, looking at my notes here, we have the working age population is shrinking because the big boomers are retiring. We have the rise of automation and artificial intelligence. This is displacing more people from the workforce, and it will also escalate political and social tensions as countries try to balance this, right? Particularly in Western politics. You're going to see an impact of demographics in terms of the dynamics of global power. You know, I talked about the demand growing in India and China. Well, they're also going to be increasing in terms of their power on a global scale because of this, right? Demographics have a direct effect on economic growth, and we're likely to witness an unprecedented shift of economic power from the West, North America, to the East, China and India. So that's the first thing. Volatility now, volatility in the future, and major changes, right? And no one really knows how that's all going to shake out. Number two, there's the rise of the middle class in emerging markets. So according to this report, the next 30 years, demographics will play an increasingly important role in the shaping of the global economy. And the big story is really the rising class in those emerging markets, such as, and in particular, again, China and India. With this emerging middle class, it'll be the driving force for increased demand of luxury goods and of things such as gold and silver and other precious metals, right? And the last trend is there's a shift in gold demand and supply dynamics. Jewelry and investment grade bullion are not the only drivers of gold demand. Gold is heavily used in industrial applications as well. Practically every piece of electronics has a little bit of gold used as a highly conductive and corrosion resistant material. And this is unknown to many. Furthermore, it is very effective in the use in medicine. Again, something that many of us aren't aware of, right? So here's a quick rundown of the technological trends from the report that will spur an increase in the gold demand in the industrial sense. Number one, the adoption of the Internet of Things. It will lead to an explosion of electronics. We're already seeing it now, and it's going to go further. Explosion of electronics used, and therefore gold used in consumable, durable goods. There's going to be a shift to hybrid and electric vehicles. Demand far more high-end. These types of vehicles demand far more high-end electronic components, again, drawing on those precious metals such as gold. Gold compounds show promise in clinical testings and even drugs as a new class of antibiotic. And finally, there's a booming solar panel industry, which will demand more gold as a core catalyst component. So what's the bottom line for you? The bottom line is you may see a temporary dip and uncertainty in the market in terms of the price and the value of gold and other precious metals. But based on this report, it looks as if there's going to be a rising demand for gold. And as you know, demand increases and supply stays relatively constant or shrinking because we have a limited supply because it is a precious metal, then what happens is that the price will tend to rise. All right, so take a look at the report. It's a pretty detailed report, so I'm hoping that I gave you some really good highlights of that report. And, if you are considering and looking at these different factors and the current market and considering getting into gold and precious metals, I encourage you to check out some other of my videos to educate yourself and take a look at Regal Assets. It's my recommended company for investing in precious metals such as gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, either in unregistered accounts, i.e. cash, with the items being delivered directly to you in your home, or in registered accounts such as the RRSP, tax-free savings account, and or RESP with segregated storage. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.